emphasize that, honestly, one of the best things that comes out of this program, one of the best things that comes out of this conference is our ability to connect with each other and steal ideas from each other. I learned about ministry stealing when I was a youth pastor, and it applies to being intern directors and coordinators. So we want to make sure we give opportunity for that. So we just introduced ourselves in the big group, but if we could just say name and how long you've been doing the intern program or Northwest Partnership Program at your church, name, where you're from, and how long you've been going, and we'll go ahead and start over here in the front.
So I'm Nate Hartman at Spokane Valley Assembly, just east of Spokane. And we've done the program a couple of years. This is my first, I just stepped in like a week ago directing the program, so this is my first experience with it. I've been the next gen pastor, so my students have gone through it. So.
Gotcha. Awesome. And now you're inheriting it and got to lead it forward. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm Tim Nigro. I'm from Living Word Church up in Oak Harbor, Washington. Not too far away. And we did it 1 year, so this last year was our first year, and really just kind of navigating through some of the great things about it, and as well some of the challenges we had. So I'd love to kind of hear some ideas and things like that.
Great.
I'm with him. I'm Shannon McLeod. I'm also at Living Word Church in Oak Harbor, and I'm kind of along for the ride to learn, to come alongside for our looking forward second year.
Very cool. Awesome.
Emily Stewart from Turning Point Church in McDonough. Our director has launched a couple of colleges, but this is my first time, so we're brand new startup here at our church.
Awesome. Great.
Dallas Lang from Portland, Oregon, Portland Rescue Mission. So we work with homeless and addicted individuals. We also have volunteer internship programs, so looking to start something brand new. Haven't done anything yet officially, just did the phone or Skype conversation and started from there, but potentially looking at mobilizing church partners and outside volunteers folks, and then potentially also residents in our program.
Sweet. Awesome. Great hat, by the way.
I'm Anthony Johnson, and this is Chrissy. We're both from Seattle's Union Gospel Mission. We've been in it for, I think, 4 years. Big time. So.
Awesome. Great.
Like he said, I'm Christy Jenkins, Seattle's Union Gospel Mission. He's been doing it for 4 years. I'm now joining the ranks and trying to quickly catch up.
Awesome. Cool. Good to have you.
Warren Ng. I'm with Jubilee Reach in Bellevue. We're a community support organization, and we just started.
Sweet.
My name is Ann. I'm with Calvary Community Church in Sumner, and we are launching our first season this fall, so very excited about that.
Awesome. Very cool.
My name's Anna Schleck, and I'm at Eastside Church in Bothell. And we did 1 year that was under Bob Horn's leadership, and so I'm just taking over, like, into it now.
Nice. Great.
I'm Shaylin Kagaze. I'm from Hilo, Hawaii and Connect Point Church, and we were just starting.
Awesome. Great. In the back.
Moses Harris from Tacoma, Washington, Washington State Jurisdiction, Church of God in Christ, and coming to do some remedial things today.
Awesome.
I'm Dawn Moulton. I'm from Forks Assembly of God in Forks, Washington, and we just completed our first year. I was the academic coach for 3 students.
And I'm Angie Pursley with Forks Assembly, and I'm a coordinator, and we survived the first year.
Nice.
And they all passed miraculously.
Good. Great.
You have to tell about it. We did.
My name is Trevor. I'm from Champion Center in Tacoma, Washington, and we just finished our first year as well.
Awesome. Did all your students pass?
I left it out.
Okay. Sorry to call you out on that. Yeah, not all my students passed this year. So. And go ahead.
I'm Suzanne Clark, and we just completed our first year in Prescott Valley at Life Point, and so I am with so many of you completing the first year and kind of what not to do and what to do, and it's learning for all of us here. So, but this is my first conference too, so
Very
excited
cool.
to be here.
Great to have you. So this session right now is called a roundtable. There are no roundtables in here, and everyone's facing one direction to learn from us. But we wanted to make it more like a conversation, and so we invited Suzanne up here to kind of walk us through and help guide us through this conversation of what made a successful first year for you. And so she was picked by the staff to kind of share as an exemplar of things that went good and things she wished she would have done. So we're just going to start a conversation here. Please feel free to ask your questions throughout. And we'll go till about 9:45 and then give you guys a coffee break for the next session. So awesome. Great to have you here. And let's get started. So my first question then to you is, what do you wish you knew when you started the first year? What do you wish you knew beginning the first year of your program that you know now?
It was a lot of learning. I feel like I could tell you what not to do easier than, I'm so glad we have the checklist now, because one of the first things that I did do was when I went to the Eagle page, it was so much information that I shut it down. I made my own list and moved forward with the foot on the accelerator going 90 miles an hour. I had a very short window of time to begin the program. So I was hired in February. I wanted to be recruiting by April, which meant, everything. So I just made a very quick checklist for myself, how to do it, and then was ready to launch by April to recruit, because you need several months to recruit if you want your July 1st enrollment. So a checklist is key. And now that they have this,
Oh, we stole that idea now, and we're making it like, let's just make a checklist for everyone.
Wonderful. And
Yeah.
so whether you do it in order or not is going to be dependent upon you and how much time you have to lay the groundwork for your program. I kind of had to do things a little bit out of order. I couldn't have everything planned. I did not have the program down to a T. I had to work more on website, name, logo, those kind of things first before I had time to do the program. The program came after I started the recruiting. So,
Yeah.
but the checklist is perfect for following, going down your checklist and making sure that you're following it. It's going to be good.
So looking back now, when you talk about the resources on Eagle, I remember I launched my first program in Modesto 4 years ago. We just launched a new program now at my church I moved to in Sacramento. I remember the feeling of going on that Eagle page and seeing resources and it just being a list and being like, well, there's no way I can read all that right now or even over this month. And so it was overwhelming, and it just kind of, like you said, was put it away.
Yes.
Looking at that now, how do you approach those resources, or are there some that you really dive into?
The first thing, don't be overwhelmed. It's going to be okay. You got this. That's what I would say. You got this. You can do this. A program is very important, but we're passionate about people. That's what we're passionate about. And so at the end of the day, our program is designed for people. And so don't be overwhelmed by the website. Don't be overwhelmed by the list. But you do need to have that list and just go down it and work through it. And realize that every item on the list is going to take some time. Especially your things like your website design. That's going to, for me, I had to partner up with somebody that was good at those sort of things. That was not my giftings. So I had made sure that I had somebody near me that could help me. So of course, the first thing that you're going to want to do is name your program. You want to name it, and then you want to get your logo, because that's going to go on everything. Everything that you do from the beginning is your name and your logo. And another important thing to do first and foremost is to make sure that anything that you get in print, before you do anything, make sure that it's approved by Northwest University. Because that could be a big mistake, is if you had wrap cards or if you had something made and it wasn't approved by Northwest. So I would run everything that I would do as soon as we got our name by Becca. She approved it. As soon as I had our logo, sent it to Becca, she gave me the thumbs up. As soon as our website was designed, which we just used a basic template, website designer. And like I said, I partnered with somebody that was good at that sort of thing. That's not my thing. I could write up what went into the website, but that's not who I am. I'm not going to make a logo. So I had somebody helping me with that. But then we just made sure Becca approved everything before anything came out on print. And so, but really that's what it is first, is setting yourself up with your name, your logo, your website. What kind of marketing materials are you going to want to promote with? Are you going to do we do like the little you know, the little bands, these are easy, they're really cheap, you can toss them out when you're promoting. You want stickers, you know, you want to set all of that stuff up first, I think, for your launch, and then you're ready to recruit. Now, I felt like I did not know all of the information, so a lot of it was learning as I went. So I just created like cheat sheets for myself when I would go to camp, so I would know exactly when I did start recruiting what I was doing, you know, and I just made a real easy cheat sheet. So when I would go and meet students, then I had it right here, what all we had to offer. So I had studied the little pamphlet that we have inside and out. So I did know that from front to back. So I knew as soon as I was ready to recruit what we were promoting, what we were trying to get them into.
Now, when you say going to camp, what do you mean? Did you go to your church's summer camp or like other stuff? What do you mean promoting the camp?
For us, you know, we're in a town of what? How many people would you say? About
50,000.
50 to 100,000 in our Quad City area, maybe. And so for me, what I realized is, okay, this is so cool. I'm so excited about this college. We are literally a new college, you know, a new college in town. Well, the first thing I realized is nobody else knows we're the new college in town. So in Arizona, we have three state universities, several other private universities. We have in our town one community college. So I knew I've got to get the word out that this is another college opportunity for students in our area. So like I said, that first month was doing my logos, my setup, my website. Then I was ready to launch in April. I did not do anything until my website was up and running, because I was not going to open my mouth about anything without access to a website with an application they can fill out online. Super important. That's just how we have to work these days. So they can click on a button.
The
apply.
e-signature.
Yep, it's the e-signature online application. We did it through DocuSign. There's several different, you know, shop the best prices and stuff, but we use DocuSign. And anyway, so once I was ready to launch with my website up and going, I knew I needed to contact everyone I knew in town, which meant every high school in our area, and I would just take a little packet, and my signature thing was a pack of gum. And I literally, you can't always get through with email, and so, but you can certainly show up at an office with a stack of cards and a pack of gum, and I just acted like I knew what I was doing and get back in front of the desk of somebody and say, I need to see your seniors. And so that was my focus, was to meet juniors and seniors. And so I did that several places. I just would go during lunch hour. They would gather up seniors for me. I'd bring pizza. Here I am. We're a new college in town. This is Life Point internship, and we've partnered with Northwest University. We have 2 associate's degrees. We have 4 bachelor's degrees. And we want your students, if this is something for them. It is a unique program. Very unique. Not all students are going to be for it, but I think that you have to get it out there to everyone so that they know, and then something's going to click. So I reached out to all the high schools in our area, and then I also started, of course, to all the churches. So I reached out to all of the youth groups in our area and outside of our area. And then I also reached out to the camps. In our area, we have all of the state camps come to our area, which is a blessing for us, you know, because I do get to promote. It's about 1,500 students that come through the camps, and so they give the colleges time to promote. Okay, this was my learning experience, okay, because you're in competition. When you go to camp, I don't know if you guys have been, it is a big deal. The colleges are a big part of them. And so when you show up, what's going to make you stand out? And we're not only promoting, but you still have to be real to your church and your culture and what you're doing. And so for me, I'm like, okay, what is going to make me stand out at camp? A kayak. I'm like, oh yes, I am going to have a kayak in my booth. And so that's what I did. My promotional booth at camp was about 7 feet by 8 feet. huge. Okay, so a little over the top on my banner. But I set it up with like fake grass and a camping chair, and I got my kayak over there. So it looks different, but it's us. You know, we're a mountain town. We do a lot outdoors. It's sunshiny in Arizona. We do kayaking and rock rappelling and all of that. So that was my big thing. So find something about your program that's unique. So when you are promoting and there's competition around you, that you can stand out in one way or another.
That's really
So,
good. That's really
yeah.
good. So help us with the timeline again. You started the program when?
I was hired February 1st. I launched recruiting by April. Our camps were in June,
Okay.
and of course our enrollment deadline is July. So
Okay, and then the beginning of the first year, what was
I
your
didn't
results
breathe
from
the
that?
first 6 months. I was like, it was a lot of work. But don't be afraid of hard work. There's nothing wrong with that. So, it was very quick, very
Right.
fast paced. But then after the enrollment, so July 15th, you can kind of breathe for a minute because nobody else can join at that point. So then I was able to, okay, I've got my students now, which we started with 5, and then the next month and a half I spent on designing our program. I had kind of had a rough schedule idea, so as I was recruiting, and the recruiting part, it really is, it's very unique how you get students, because I would say some of them were from our church. I have one student that heard about us through Northwest. She was from California. They called and said, hey, we want to come and tour your church. So are you available tomorrow? That is something I've learned, is to be available when they're available. It will always fit conveniently into your schedule. But when they're ready to talk, be there and be ready to show what you have. And that was huge for me, is being available for the students when they were ready to, hey, let's meet, let's go have coffee. Let me show you our program.
And I'll just say, every time she meets with a student like that, those little gift bags that Becca handed out this morning, she has a gift bag, with a t-shirt in it, a pack of gum, just all these little goodie bags.
Flag, yeah.
Kind of just assuming you're going to sign up, so that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. So you've done all those different avenues for promotion, for recruitment, and you started to build momentum with that. And when they express interest, that's when you would go for the one-on-one, and really that was crucial to actually get them into like fully being in the program.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Awesome. Very cool.
Something else that I have learned this last year is that we do have to operate as a college, meaning I thought originally it was going to be like, I would say it's a 2-year program that you have to be in from beginning to end, 2 years, but that is not the case. Because Northwest University is a revolving door of every semester, and some of your students come in, they've already had some of their college. You might have students that are going to finish in December. You have students that are going to join you. And so I very quickly had to revamp the program part of, it's not a set program. I would like it to be, but I can't. I need to keep that door open to allow students. So I had another student join us in January, and so
That's just a quick question to clarify. When you're talking program, were you doing a church internship as well along with that?
Yes.
And so to adjust, were you adjusting what that looked like throughout the year?
Yes, our church had always had an internship program, but this, we revamped it completely. It's completely changed.
Are you running that as well?
Yes,
Or, okay.
yes. Yeah, I run the whole college internship. That's another thing. I also had to be open to students that maybe did not want to necessarily be college students. I do have one student that just, college was overwhelming, but he's a young adult, but he loved everything that we had to offer. We looked at a couple options. If you didn't know, Northwest University does have the option of being a part-time student. So if you have a student that can't go full-time, can't do the 2 classes, they can do 1 class, and it's a fraction, it's half the cost, minus the program fee stays the same. Or, you know, for us, I took him on as just an intern, so he just pays that program fee directly to the church. So he's with all the other students, he just doesn't have to do the college part.
Interesting. So one of my questions was, do you have interns who don't do this college? So then that would be yes. Do you have any college students who don't do the intern program?
No, they do the internship program so they can get the 3 credits.
Gotcha.
You know, so, yeah.
So he's getting credit for doing the internship?
He doesn't get
Oh, okay.
college credit.
Okay.
That's the one thing. You know, and Northwest made that clear. You might have an intern student, but they're not gonna get the college credit because they're not enrolled at Northwest.
So the title given by the church is that person's an intern.
Yes.
But technically they're just kind of a volunteer
Yes.
in Northwest Side,
Exactly.
right? Gotcha.
Exactly.
Cool.
He's in on all the fun that we have and the other classes
Right.
that we offer,
Yeah.
so.
One thing that I found, just to piggyback on what you're saying, is I feel like I've always had to be open to new demographics because I have this mindset of, well, I'm going to find all of these like 18, 19-year-olds who really love Jesus and are for sure called into ministry and they're ready to go at it. And that's a portion of it, and praise God for them. But I've been really surprised each church I've been at by just a random demographic that would show up, whether it's people returning to college or older students still wanting an intern program but needing it more flexible. And so similar to how you said, I was able to develop them even without the college part of it too. Just be open to different ways to utilize the program that you're already building. So cool. Any other questions before we go
Does
ahead?
anybody have any experience in here of doing kind of what you said? You asked her, you said, okay, well, what about, do you have anybody who's enrolled in NU but not doing the internship program, which would be sort of like a hybrid kind of situation? We have a couple of students who kind of fall under that, and we're trying to figure out how to navigate them. Has anybody in here had to?
Great question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who has done that so far?
So are they the flex, so they're doing the college but not the internship? So kind of like
Well,
the
so
flex
there's staff.
students?
There's
Yeah.
staff.
Oh, yeah,
And so,
okay.
and so there's kind of this, what qualifies for them to intern at the church because they're on staff.
Right.
And so the internship that I would have for these students who are not a part of it became a little
Right.
bit more complicated.
Yeah.
We have that, our youth pastor, my husband and I are the lead pastors, and our youth pastor is doing it. And so he is, for his internship, he's doing a separate portion that we got cleared from Northwest, and he has nothing to do with youth ministry, because that's his role, his job.
Yeah.
And so he's doing this portion, he's entered in as a 3rd year, or a level 3 intern.
Right.
And it's worked out really well, so he is doing our sound and tech
Nice.
portion, and it worked out really well this year.
So it needs to be distinct from what
Very
they are.
distinct, yes.
Right.
Very, he has
Okay.
his
Yeah.
job description, and his internship is a separate job description.
Totally, yeah. And the technical way I've heard it said is you can't get college credit for
Yeah.
doing your job, right?
Yeah.
But if you develop a syllabus around something else that you want to learn, and the Northwest staff is really great about helping get those forms in and building it correctly, that it is very possible. Another thing I would say is we've had some staff members that the churches I've been a part of sign up to be a part of Northwest just for the college credit or just for the classes and not even worry about the practicum because they didn't want to deal with it. It was too much mental weight or whatever, and they just said, no, I just want the courses. And it's still financially a great deal for them. It's still a better deal than just going full-time online. If they're part-time, it's cheaper for them to be just an online student, and so some things that we've done to make it a fair deal, I feel, for the part-time staff member who doesn't want to earn practicum credit is we've done, you can do it however you want, obviously, with your site fee, but we've reimbursed the site fee as a scholarship to the staff member just because they're staff members and we love our staff members, and so that's made it a really reasonable deal for them, helps our program, and yeah, that's one way to do
Because
it.
that fee doesn't come out even if they don't do the internship.
Right, yeah,
They're
you
still
still
paying
charge
for
the
it.
fee, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So they enroll under your program.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do the internship portion.
Correct, yeah.
And then you reimburse them as a scholarship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And they can still work towards any of those 6 degrees.
correct. Yeah. You raised your hand to share input?
Yeah, so we have a lot of our employees that do it here at the mission. And so we work with Northwest to develop a practicum around how they can pull out learning points from their employment that actually count towards some of those credits. So that's something that you can definitely walk through with the university here. Yeah.
Awesome. And you can qualify to earn practicum credit as long as you're at least part-time. If you're only taking one course, you can't qualify for the practicum credit, and with the site fee, it would just be a really bad financial deal for somebody to do that. So, yeah.
Going back to the naming of it, the branding of it, can you walk me through that? How do you use Northwest University's name? Why do you create a separate name? What do other people do to brand it?
Good question.
Yeah, it's brainstorming. It's coming up with a unique name for your program that, like for me, it was very important that I used our church name in it. So anytime there's a Google search, it points us to Life Point in our area. I wanted to call it Life Point College. That was not allowed. So because we aren't a college per se, we are, but we aren't. So I was trying to steer away from just basic Life Point internship, but I could not figure out the word that. What are some of your names?
So what is the actual official
It's Life
name?
Point Internship.
Okay, gotcha.
And then our website's lpazinterns.com.
Some of the ones we came up with were already taken.
Yeah. So it was probably about a 2-week process of brainstorming, writing down, literally going through a thesaurus with academics, institute, academy, college. What are we? What are you? What is your program?
How are you integrating end use name within that?
I don't. It's just Life Point Internship. That's who we are. And then, like on our website, it says Life Point Internship has partnered with Northwest University to offer 2 different college.
If you want to put university, I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
If you want to put university or college on your logo or have something with the Northwest, what I've done before is name of the program, and then I'll use this logo and I'll just write in partnership with Northwest University. And that seems to work and seems to be approved most times. So different college programs, School of Ministry and Leadership, Leadership Institute, Bible Institute, whatever is kind of going to work for your demographic. At my current church, we just call it Pathway. In our NorCal, Nevada, the Pathway's got a name from.
Is that the church name?
Our church name is Trinity Life Center.
Okay.
And the ministry is called Pathway, and we do a bunch of different stuff, so it's just called Pathway. And it's really confusing for a lot of people. It's not a great name. They're like, what is it? Is it an internship? Is it whatever? But let's just shout out what's the name of your program. Let's just hear 4 or 5 of them. Go ahead.
So we decided on South Atlanta Leadership College, but I think what Milan did when he sat down with us, he was like, what are our goals? What's our mission? And for him, we wanted to bring in other churches as well. So we wanted to include like everything on the south side of Atlanta, because in Atlanta, there's a lot of great leadership colleges. So we wanted to be something different and something that's set apart with a focus on biblical leadership. So that's kind of like what we did. And so like that's kind of our mission. We partner with Northwest University to bring biblical leadership principles to the south side of Atlanta. So
yeah, great. Other names?
Ours is called the Rural School of Ministry. We live on the Olympic Peninsula in the middle of nowhere. So we service a lot of churches. Our goal is to work with other churches also.
Great. Is it called the Rural? Oh, awesome. Very cool.
You couldn't get Twilight in there something?
Yes, ours is the Church of God in Christ. So we kind of cover the as a denomination. So we named ours Washington State Collegiate Educational Institute.
Yeah, that's cool. Another idea is you could just name yourself Hillsong Leadership Institute, and people will just show up. Awesome. All right, moving on to the next slide.
Just a point. Many states have restrictions using the term college or university.
Yes.
So there are states that specifically say you cannot unless you issue degrees,
Right.
which you do not. Northwest does. So that's why in partnership with is a phrase that works the best. If you call yourself a college, it just gets really complicated, and we've had some places shut down, and we just cannot work with them because they use the college term. It looked like they were issuing the degrees. The state entered in and said, you're a church, you're doing what? And it got really complicated with the state educational system. So that's where the title you want to say, hey, here's what we're doing, and then talk to Rebecca. Hey, does this work pretty well? And then she works through the process. Thanks, Kyle.
Great. Very cool.
So ours, we did, to get around the college thing, School of Leadership Essentials. So we just refer to it SLE, amongst ourselves. Yeah. So we got that school in there, right?
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I think we had started with college in our name a couple years ago and had that issue. So we're Valley Leadership School.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I got it wrong. We're Leadership Institute.
Leadership Institute.
Yeah, I was like, let me double
State
check.
college.
Yeah.
Okay.
Georgia is one of the states that specifically says you have to pay a lot of money and get a lot of permissions to go to some college.
Yeah. And that's why when Suzanne was talking about, just like send Northwest, send Becca, like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, this is our flyer, does this look good? And the whole staff is so great at getting back to you. And one thing I will say, like, I felt like, and maybe you can affirm this if you agree, it took me like a whole year of going through it to really feel comfortable, to kind of get the seasons down of what it's going to be like in promotion, recruiting, developing a system. And after a year, I was kind of like, okay, I got this. I feel like I got this. And so the feeling of overwhelmed, there's too many resources, is totally normal. And you kind of just take it as you go. And when something's confusing, like just email Becca. Just email some of the Northwest staff. And they're really great at explaining it to you as you go.
I would say agree with everything. There's just wonderful to work with. Wonderful. And it's amazing to be in partnership with them.
Yeah.
It really is. They're so phenomenal to work with. Becca was always on it.
Mm-hmm.
Got right back with me if I had any questions or anything that I needed her with.
Yeah.
Don't plan your vacation until after July 15th.
Oh.
Not kidding. Like, you will be doing something.
You say July 15th. Why do you say July 15th?
Well, because July 1st is your deadline. July 15th is the very last date. They can take any last minute transcripts, enrollment, and literally we had taken our vacation and I'm on the beach, like getting emails from some of my students that, from Northwest, they're needing this and this, and so I'm like, oh, next year I'm learning, like you said, you learn your schedule, like, oh, okay, July 16th I can go on vacation.
But that's a great thing for you guys to know now, especially that we're in May, and that the on-paper deadline is July 1st, just so you can expect it. There's always the late deadline, unless I'm wrong this year, of July 15th. So that's typically how it works. Talk to us about what you've done working with districts.
With the districts, you mean like our church district?
What denomination are you?
Assembly of God.
Assembly of God. So do you do any work with the district office or partnering with them, or have you
not a
involved
whole
with them?
lot.
Yeah,
a little bit.
We promoted at the Thursdays down in Phoenix that
Yeah,
rotates.
we have a young adult thing, and we went down there for some of the functions for the young adults. Something that I did learn this last year is I got about halfway through the year and realized, what if one of my students, because several of them do want to become pastors, we're not lined up with the district with what credentials they need. So that is something that I did. I reached out to the district to make sure that our internship program and all of the classes that they're taking within you lines up with what's required for our district, so that when they come out, they are a licensed pastor.
Great.
They do not need to add anything else on top of what they've already done, because they're doing a lot in the program.
How many people here are from the AG tribe? Okay. So Foursquare tribe? Other miscellaneous, not found. Okay.
Other, yes.
Yeah. So real quick, just about the AG, and I'm sure Foursquare is similar, just because that's about half the room. So any degree from Northwest fulfills the requirement to be able to be credentialed. Now, a lot of my students in my program are in a bachelor's degree program. So once you've completed 2 years of the bachelor's degree, though, you haven't taken enough courses to be able to go and get credentialed. But if you do the Associates in Ministry Leadership, that fulfills all the requirements. So somebody who does that program could go and be credentialed within 2 years and apply for it right at the end of the year. And obviously that means have the education done to apply for licensing, not actually be licensed. And so that's sometimes a significant difference, because some students are like, I need to be credentialed as soon as possible because I want to launch out and go to church my third year or whatever. So just have that in mind if you want them to be credentialed faster. The BML won't get it done in 2 years.
There's a question to that.
Yeah.
So one of the things we kind of ran into was one of them, I think it's the 1 year, maybe ministry certificate is
Yes.
not, financial aid does not go towards that. Is
Correct.
that also the case with that associates, or does financial aid qualify?
The associates
you know?
qualifies for the financial aid, yeah.
Okay. Not the one.
Not the 1 year.
So,
Typically, when I'm sorry, go ahead,
Well,
Joe.
what we do is we say if a student needs financial aid, enroll as an AML, an associate ministry student.
Right.
The courses are the same, except the AML has its English courses, writing, speech in there. So we say enroll as an AML student, associate student, even though you're working towards the CML degree. We're working with the federal government on the CML to get financial aid, but there's a lot of restrictions on a 1 year certificate that we have to still working with. But so a student going for the CML can get financial aid, they just declare, and our admissions office talks to them about that, and financial aid talks to them about that.
So
we're-
they
we're meeting
enroll
all
in
the
the AML?
requirements. Pardon?
They enroll in the AML, but they're only getting the CML.
Yes, yeah, you can enroll for the bachelor's, but if you take all the courses, when you complete the certificate or the AML, you get your certificate at that point. Even though you say, long-term, I'm going for the 4-year degree.
Oh, okay.
You're going for the 2-year, students going for the 2-year degree, even though technically they're only focusing, at least initially, on the 1 year.
Right.
And then they stop.
They stop,
Yeah, and so just be prepared though, when the student joins the program, the advising is very structured of, you have to take this course and this course to be able to fit it all in with prereqs. There's a certain order. So if you do that, just be prepared to be firm with advising as they try and say like, no, you need to take the associate's track, and just to be like, no, I'm actually on the year. So just help your students progress through that, because advising will do their job in trying to make sure you're going the right track. But it might be a little unique for you. Typically, I've seen people enroll for their CML if they already have their bachelor's degree and they want the college level education for credentials, and so they're not going to get financial aid anyway, so they just go straight for the CML. So, one thing I will say about denomination, working with denominations, is at least in the Assemblies of God, how many ministers you're producing is the love language of the Assemblies of God. And so for your district office superintendent to hear that you are producing ministers, that you are training people, they love that, man. So get them in. Ask your superintendent, ask the assistant superintendent, all of those people at the district office to teach some of your leadership lessons. Zoom them in for different things, have them teach, a Bible study on whatever your classes you're in. So those are some things that just helps ties people in, and it helps your students learn more about credentialing when they see district people too. So talk to us, we just have a few minutes left. Talk to us about community.
Community. Community became our biggest part of our internship. It was surprising to me, but that's where we ended up, is making a community impact. One of the things that I did do, like I said, I had reached out to the high schools to recruit. I went to one of the high schools about 20 miles from our area to recruit the seniors, sat down with a lady, and she's like, lady, we're lucky if our students graduate, much less go on to college. And very quickly I realized, oh, I'm not going to be here to recruit, I'm going to be here to serve. And so in our conversation, found out that this high school has a 30% homeless rate. Their students are, they're low poverty economically. She said most of our students come to school to get 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch. And that we have very little parental guidance or help. And so I said, okay, I have 5 college students, how can we help? She said, okay, let's brainstorm and think. She said, I think what we can do here is we can create something like a youth group, minus Jesus, which we call the mentoring. And that's one of the huge things that we are now doing. It's a mentoring program out at this high school. I got in my car that day and just like, I was like this the whole way home. Like, this is 20 miles from my house. I had no idea what was going on out there in this area. But it has had the impact of our students, because that's what they want. They want to help, they want to serve. Right. Just in this past year learning with this college students, they are so not about the brick and mortar building. They want to be the hands and feet of Jesus. Well, now I love online college because we're the college. Wherever we go, that's college. And so being able to go every other week out to this high school and just hang out again. The program. I want a program. I want structure. We were given access to the full campus, the gym, the cafeteria. I went in and we were given 42 students for 2 hours. And I walked in, we didn't really have much of a plan. It scared me to death. I had grabbed the bucket of dodgeballs from the church, which I thought were the dodgeballs, but there were only 2 on top. Underneath was nothing. So I'm like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do for 2 hours? So I wanted the program. I wanted it to look this certain way, and it didn't. I had to let go of that. And once I did, it was about building the relationships. The second time we went into the school, I realized, lots of kids don't want to just back to games. So I created an art bucket and literally just spread out, watercolors and made cards. And I'm telling you, the students, that was their biggest thing, because we did 2 finals with them. Their first semester's final was a paper that I had them, and then I had them present orally in front of our staff. And then at the end of the year, I had them collectively do a video for their final. And relationships was one of the biggest things that they got out of our program, and the community impact was their other biggest thing. So,
because we wound up having kids from that school start coming to our church.
Yeah, they come to our youth.
I mean, like you talk about what pastors are happy to see. We plugged ourselves in that school, and kids started coming to the youth group there.
It's stepping out of your comfort zone for sure. You're gonna do things that you probably maybe didn't think that you were gonna find yourself doing. For example, I felt like I needed to pray for that school. And so one of my interns that was applying came up for the day, and we were getting our fingerprints. That's another thing, if you work in a school district in your area, you need to make sure that you're all qualified to volunteer, which usually requires a fingerprint and background check. So we were going through that process, and this intern had brought a friend with her. And we went over to this high school, and I said, I don't know what it is, but I feel like we need to do the Jericho March and just walk around this school and pray. And this was I'm not normally like this, but that's what we did that day. And come to find out that, the kid that she had with her was not even Christian. And he's like, this is all good, let's do it, And so we just prayed over the school, and it's just been a huge impact on my students and myself. So.
But by getting out into the community like that, all those teachers, the students, the parents, and so many more people are starting to realize that our church has this internship with a possibility at a degree through Northwest, and that word's getting out, and that's the important part about getting out in the community.
Point. As the interns are serving, that's almost like, it's maybe irreverent to say, but they're like a commercial for your own program, right?
Yeah.
Because they're serving and growing and all of that. That's awesome. Very cool. Well, hey, let's just take one more question, and then we'll close in prayer. So, last question. When's lunch? Okay. Would you close us in prayer, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this beautiful day that you've given to us, and I thank you so much, God, that we can all come together and work towards just glorifying you. And I just pray for each and every person here as they move out from here, that they know they will be equipped to build this program, and that it's all about you and about the relationships and about people. And we thank you that we have this opportunity to serve, and we just give you all the glory, and we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Suzanne, thank you so much for sharing with us. You did a great job.
You guys can do it. Go take it on.
You guys are dismissed. You have 10 minutes till the next session, so